Hello, and welcome to Reading the TikTok Privacy Policy So That You Don't Have to. This segment is presented by Termageddon.com. We're an auto-updating website policies generator, and we've generated and successfully kept up to date thousands of privacy policies, and we've also read quite a few of them. So because we're going to be talking about a privacy policy today, I did want to note that anything in here that we discussed today is not to be considered legal advice. If you are looking for legal advice, I would recommend speaking to an attorney in your area. So first, why is it really important to read the privacy policy of any services that you signed up for? Well, that's because the privacy policy affects your privacy and your rights. Generally, a privacy policy is meant to describe what information is being collected, what is done with that information, and also who that information is being shared with. And the purpose of a privacy policy is really to inform consumers of that information so that they can make a choice as to whether or not to use a particular platform, and also to comply with privacy laws to avoid fines, complaints, and even potential lawsuits. So let's take a look at the TikTok privacy policy. So first, what information does TikTok collect? So TikTok actually collects a lot of personal information. So they collect account and profile information. So the information that you use to actually sign up for your account and for your profile. So like names, emails, things like that. It also collects any user-generated content like comments, photos, live streams, audio recordings, and videos. Now, this information is collected even if you're not an actual user of TikTok. So if you do end up on somebody else's TikTok video, that means that that video recording and that audio recording will end up on the platform as well. It also collects your messages, so the content of the actual message and metadata. And metadata is information about that particular message that is not shown on the message itself. Great example is when that message was sent, when that message was opened and read, when something was replied to, things like that. It also collects information in your device's clipboard. So if you go to a website on your phone and then copy a link to that website and then add that to your clipboard to paste it into TikTok later, it does include that as well. It also collects purchase information, so like your card details, things like that. It also collects your phone and social network contacts. So if you do connect TikTok to your phone's address book, it will collect the phone numbers of everyone in your address book, not just the person that you actually want to select. Same thing with social network contacts. So if you add your Facebook contacts to your TikTok, TikTok will actually collect those contacts as well. Your choices and your communication preferences, information used to verify your account, like proof of your identity or your age, information sent in correspondence with TikTok. So, for example, if you contact their support to ask them a question, that information will be stored as well. And any information that you share through surveys, challenges, research, promotions, marketing campaigns, events, or contests will be collected too. Now, TikTok also collects some information in the background as well, like your login details for other social networks. So if you use your Gmail to connect to TikTok or like your Facebook account to connect to TikTok, it will collect your public profile information, email, and contact list. It also collects advertising data from outside of the TikTok platform. So if there's a TikTok pixel on a particular website that you're visiting, that information will be collected as well. Information from affiliated entities within the TikTok corporate group. That's not really explained what this means exactly, but whatever companies are associated in the TikTok corporate group, I'm going to guess that information from those entities will be shared with TikTok as well. Information from others. So if you're included in user content, if you're included in direct messages, appeals, or other requests from other TikTok users, that information will be collected as well. Usage information. So like how do you actually use TikTok? When do you log in? When do you log out? What videos you watch? How long you stay on the platform? Things like that. Device information is information about your device, like your IP address, your device identifier, anything that can actually track what device you're using. Location data, this is a little bit confusing because at the top of the privacy policy, TikTok says that they do collect your location data, but later on it says that this is only available through older accounts. So it's very unclear whether location data is actually being collected. Your image and audio information, metadata, and cookies. So now that you know what information is actually being collected by TikTok, which is pretty much everything under the sun, how does TikTok actually use your information? So they use it to fulfill requests for products or services. So if you buy a particular TikTok service, that information is being used to fulfill that request. To customize the content that you see. So, for example, if you're watching videos about dogs, it's probably going to use that information to show you more videos about dogs because it knows that's what you like. To send promotional materials from TikTok, that part makes sense. But the second part, to send promotional materials on behalf of TikTok's affiliates and third parties, that's not really explained either. So they don't say who those affiliates are or even provide the categories of those third parties with whom they share your information to send promotional materials to you. So that's interesting. They use it to improve their platform, which makes sense, to measure advertisements, which also makes sense right now, but I'll explain to you in a minute why this doesn't make sense. To support social functions of TikTok, like sharing videos, things like that. To use user content as part of TikTok advertising and marketing campaigns. So just so you know, if you are uploading your videos onto TikTok, that could end up in an advertising or marketing campaign, which you may not want. To infer information about you, such as your age, gender, and interests. This basically means that TikTok will use the information that you provided to them or information that they have collected about you to infer other information about you, which may actually be more sensitive than the information you initially provided, to verify your identity, and then to train and improve technology like machine learning and algorithms. This one's kind of a black box as well. It's unclear as to whether or not humans have access to the information that's used for machine learning and algorithms, and how that information actually is used. So that one's a bit questionable as well. And many people think that, TikTok shares information, right? So reading their privacy policy, this is really, really interesting. They say how we share your information. So at the top of the privacy policy of this section, it says that they do not sell your personal information and they don't share it with third parties for purposes of cross-context behavioral advertising, which is really interesting because this section, for any regular person who's not a lawyer reading this, would say, okay, great, my information is not being shared and my information is not being sold. But when you look at it a little bit closer, it says that that information is not shared with third parties for purposes of cross-context behavioral advertising. But what's actually really interesting about this is that when it comes to how we use your information, TikTok says that they use that information to measure advertisements. And also, the section says that they don't use it for behavioral ads. We're restricted by applicable law. But it's actually unclear what those laws are or who is being tracked through advertising and who is not. Then, when you actually read further, the TikTok privacy policy does say that your personal information is being shared. So it's kind of contradicting itself. And it says that they do share personal information with payment processors, customer and technical support providers, researching and advertising, marketing, and analytics vendors. So previously here, it said they do not share it with advertisers for advertising, but here it says that they does. So it's very confusing. It also doesn't really explain what researchers are or what that actually means. And the privacy policy also says that TikTok shares personal information within the TikTok corporate group in connection with a sale, merger, or other business transfer for legal reasons, such as receiving a subpoena, which makes sense, and then with your consent. So lastly, what privacy rights does TikTok actually provide to you? So the privacy rights that they provide are actually pretty slim. So the right to know, so that means providing information about what information they've exactly collected from you, what they've done with it, where they've received it from, how they've used it, and who they shared it with. The right to access, which means that you can get a list of all the personal information that's been collected about you. The right to correct, which is a right to amend any of your information. So, for example, if your last name has changed, they can change that for you in your account. And then the right to delete your personal information, so that you can basically have that information deleted. And they have a link here where you can exercise your privacy rights. They also provide that users can opt out of targeted ads by navigating to ads within your in app settings. Usually, opting out of targeted ads means that you have been opted in by default. You can just say no after your information has been collected and used for targeted ads. Again, really interesting that you can opt out of targeted advertising when they say that they don't share personal information for targeted ads. And then you can also opt out of marketing or advertising emails by clicking unsubscribe on any emails as well. And then TikTok stores data for as long as it's necessary to provide the service and achieve the purposes stated in the privacy policy. So there's no specific data retention period. So that's not very helpful either. TikTok says it does not guarantee the security of this data and does not provide any actual measures that it takes to secure your data. And then lastly, TikTok may transmit data outside of the United States to other countries, but they have not listed what those countries actually are. For users that are within the European Union, I would guess that this assumes that the data is transferred to the United States, which may be an issue under data transfer laws. I'm not sure whether the privacy policy that I was presented with was for people in the United States or for people everywhere. That was not made clear. But TikTok does say that they transmit data outside of the United States. So as you can see, there's definitely some questions with the TikTok privacy policy as to who the data is actually being shared with, how it's actually being used, including for research purposes or algorithms. Those seem to be kind of black box terms that are not actually explained to the user. So yeah, there's definitely some questionable things in the TikTok privacy policy. Make sure to fully read it and fully understand it before using the service.